Hi, and welcome back to Mingus on Tech, special Apple iPhone event edition. I'm here with Computer World senior writer Lucas Mirian, Apple expert Mike Dagonia. We're going to be talking about what Apple talked about today and figuring out what it means. Stick around. Okay, to no one's surprise, Apple unveiled new iPhones today. The iPhone 8, the iPhone X10. Do we know what it's going to be called yet?
The iPhone 10.
iPhone 10?
I'd say.
New 4K Apple TV, new Apple Watch Series 3. I have my credit card here. I'm ready to buy an iPhone X/10. I won't be able to until October 27th. I won't get it until November or maybe December or perhaps next year when the new AirPower wireless charging device is ready. But hey, it's Apple, it's cool hardware, so let's talk a little bit about it. One of the things that surprised me the most, and actually this is one of the reasons I wanted you to be here, Lucas, was you had a story yesterday talking about that Apple has long tried to get into the enterprise, and the fact that because of the iPhone, because of iOS, it actually already is in the enterprise.
Yeah.
Anybody that, you may wonder, like, okay, it's a new phone, why should I care? As a company, but given the number of iOS devices between the iPhone and the iPad that are already in companies, it was interesting that the statistic you had dug up was that on desktop computers, 3/4 of the work is being done on a Windows machine, but when it comes to mobile devices, 3/4 of it's being done on Apple devices.
Even more, on an Apple device, iOS. So, yeah, it was remarkable. It's an organic entrance into the enterprise versus what Apple had been trying to do with the Xserve and trying to get into the data center that way.
Through the back door, as you said.
Through the back
at
door,
first.
right? And as I said, and actually came through the front door this time.
Yes,
so,
with
address
iPhone
it.
in hand.
Exactly, yeah. So they had to address it. It's also had huge success with mobile applications, whether it's in banking or retail. Or companies have had to address the iPhone because of its ubiquity.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So that's why we're talking about the iPhone. It is important. We're going to do this in reverse order, unlike Apple. We're going to talk about the iPhone first. Mike, thoughts? Any surprises here about other than the ordering time and delivery dates?
Oh, that wasn't a surprise.
That was you were predicting that. You
Yeah,
thought
I was thinking November. You thought I was kidding earlier.
I was hoping you were wrong. Clearly, you were correct. Do we have any idea what the deal is? I don't understand why they wouldn't start ordering now. Build up, at least they know what they need to be making, and then even if delivery is.
I was surprised once I saw that they changed even the pre-order date.
Yeah.
I was a little stunned because it's like you said, they get more accurate figures the longer
they would know
the
what
pre-sale.
to be making,
Right.
exactly what mix to make. Well, we should note, okay, so we're talking about the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus, both of which can be pre-ordered beginning this Friday, the 15th, and which will begin shipping on the
22nd, was it?
Yeah. So basically, that's the successor to the iPhone 7,
Yes.
which makes sense. It's available. It will be available starting at $699, I think was the opening price for 64 gigs of storage. I don't believe Apple has yet said what the price is going to be for the 256 gig model.
$799.
$799. Okay,
Yeah.
$100 jump. And then, of course, we've got the iPhone. I'm going to call it iPhone 10 for now. The iPhone 10, which will be available on October 27th, shipping on November 3rd, starting at $999.
That's right.
I'm going to hazard a guess that the 256 gig model will be $1099. That's the long rumored beyond $1,000 price iPhone. I'm ready to buy it, Tim Cook. I'm ready. Okay. And the boss has approved it, so I can do it. All right, so we know what the iPhone is. Anything here that surprised you in terms of the features? We knew there was going to be an OLED screen.
Not with all the leaks that came out.
Especially the last few days.
Exactly. Once the GM was released, forget it.
So it's got the OLED screen.
Right.
It's got wireless charging, which I do want to ask you about because I was kind of surprised. Apple's been rumored to be moving toward wireless charging, obviously ever since the watch came out, and certainly for the iPhone. And finally, here it is. It's like 2014 called and wants its technology back.
But they chose the most popular standard specification, which is the QI specification. And it's in a lot of restaurants. McDonald's has rolled it out in pilots around the world. The airports have rolled it out.
It's in cars now.
It's in cars. Yeah,
that's right. Your car has it.
Manufacturers have rolled it out, so it's very popular. It's no longer just inductive, which means you have to place the phone in the correct access on the charger, or it will not charge. They've got resonant standard along with that allows 1.75 inches of movement. So either above the charger or left, right, back, up, down, back, forth. So X, Y axis movement. So it's a lot easier. You don't have to be concerned about it placing exactly on the charger. But still, it's one of 3 wireless charging consortiums out there that's supporting this. The Wireless Power Consortium, that's the one that's supporting it.
Right. There's still a lot of fragmentation in the market there, isn't there?
Yeah, and so you have a lot of different chargers. 2 of the charging organizations are partnered, so you can use their chargers together, but WPC isn't. So they're pretty much exclusive with their charging technology. So you'll have to buy, the Qi charger in order to use this technology, which doesn't mean that it's been difficult to find. It's out there. I think what I was hoping for, but probably shouldn't have, because I know Apple, they're incremental, but I was kind of hoping for charging over air, which is where you walk into a room and your mobile device just begins charging, from
the ether.
The ether, right, exactly, from usually radio frequency.
That technology doesn't make you nervous? I'm a little bit nervous about that
I have
technology.
to admit, the whole thing about the air is filled with particles that are charging does bother me a little bit.
Isn't that what microwaves are for? Isn't that what a microwave
that's
does?
how the Hulk got started.
It's not going to cook you from the inside out. No, it's radio frequency that they use in order to charge these the objects, and it's still a nascent technology. But I would, if they really wanted to come out with a big bang, that would have been it.
So that's nascent technology. What about the new technology?
Okay,
what about Face ID?
We got to talk. Okay, I have to admit, I almost started to weep at the concept of Face ID because of the technology involved and because I find it incredibly cool.
It is cool.
This is one of those things that Apple does roll out every once in a while. Touch ID was one of the examples where it's so cool that, I understand that I'm an Apple fan, and but I don't think
there's a reason you're an Apple fan.
Well, yeah,
and well implemented.
Face ID when I finally get it sometime in November or December will be one of those reasons. So we should talk about that, because we were talking about it earlier. We had some questions about exactly how it would work. In case you didn't see the Apple event, Face ID, basically you hold your phone up, it wakes up, it reads your face, and then unlocks the phone, and you can swipe through and do whatever you need to do. But you had a question about what happens if...
I'm curious, if you're falling asleep, if somebody can just pick up your phone, point it at your face, and then access it normally.
Of course, the question would be, you falling asleep around someone who would do that. What are they going to do?
They actually said in the announcement you cannot do that.
You cannot do that.
You have to have the eyes open, right?
Your eyes open. You have to look at it. So even if your eyes are open and you're not staring at it, it's not going to open. You have to look at it.
I did notice that.
Okay. Well, excellent. And it's interesting too. They talk about this not neural network, but neural chip.
It was the neural engine.
The neural engine. That basically, when you do, it's almost like when you do with Touch ID, when you're getting your fingerprint in there the first time, you hold the phone up, it reads your face to 30,000 points.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you later change your hairstyle, or you've got on a hat, or you grow a beard.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
The
fact that it's more secure, theoretically more secure than
what was
Touch
the number?
ID.
1 in 50,000 with Touch ID.
Right, and 1 in a million with Face ID.
Literally 1 in a million.
Because of all the the recognition points. That's pretty incredible. And again, if it works well, and it seems... See, they're not the first to come out with, Apple's not the first to come out with a shipping product with facial recognition. However, they look like easily it's the best implementation of such a
well, that's what Apple does.
Technology.
They're virtually never the first. They're always, but they always seem to do it so that it works.
Right.
That's why people like Apple, because it simply works.
Right. That's the theory.
That's
absolutely the theory. But yeah, no, it seems that when Apple comes out with new tech like this specifically, it's more hits than miss.
Yeah.
That they have a track record for.
Is anybody else doing Face ID kind of recognition on phones? They're doing it already.
But with Samsung, you can actually print out a picture and then get into the phone like that.
Right. Well,
so it's not doing the depth perception.
Right.
Well,
like
and that's
they're doing it right.
That's the point, is that Apple will see some technology that's out there that some competitor may rush to market in an effort to beat Apple.
Right.
And then Apple will wait until the technology matures to the point that it works. Even though there was that little glitch. Did you notice that glitch?
I did. You had to switch the
but
phones.
Did you see what was going? No, I don't think he switched phones. I had seen a tweet go by later on that actually the phone hadn't been unlocked the first time. And so, or had just been turned on. You know, when you turn your phone on for the first time, you've got to do,
password.
And that's all it was. Because I did notice several times later when he was doing it, you know, when Craig was doing it, he showed that it worked fine.
Gotcha.
Because I remember that took the air out of my sails when I'm like, okay, this is a really cool technology that doesn't work, but it does.
I was like,
it worked exactly as it should.
That's why it's not shipping yet. But no, if that's that's the way it should work. If that's the case, then. I haven't seen it. I was getting bombarded with messages, you know, trying to focus.
Yeah, well, I know.
But my friends are all blowing up.
Well,
you know.
During an Apple event. Now, you know, I should note that the Face ID is only on the top end phone, the iPhone 10/X. If you're getting the 8 or 8 Plus, you're going to have the regular Touch ID.
That's right.
Which I have to admit, Touch ID has become so reliable and so
great.
handy and useful. It's going to take a little retraining to figure out, you know.
Yeah, if you follow my Twitter feed, I was super disappointed that Apple was ditching Touch ID for another technology. This looks better, but
it looks really cool.
I'm already, you know, accustomed to Touch ID. I know it works. I know it works well for, especially, you know, for what I do and for what millions of other customers do.
Yeah.
So this technology is kind of like, it's like the devil you know versus the devil that, you know, you don't. And this is exciting, having seen a practical demo from Apple. You know, but I'm wondering if you know, if they should have included the Touch ID as well, because there was manufacturing issues apparently.
Well,
not
I was going to say
production issues.
I wonder if that's one of the issues for the delay in the ordering.
Oh, absolutely.
Ordering and delivery. Again, I don't know why they
according
have to delay
to the rumors,
orders, but the speculation beforehand was that there were some glitches in terms of embedding the Face ID technology with that screen.
Right.
And there are so many layers involved in putting those screens together.
Right.
That they had some early some glitches over the summer that may have slowed things down. So I have to admit, I'm not surprised that, you know, it's going to be a little later in the season.
I actually waited. I told you this. I still have an iPhone 6, and
ancient technology.
I didn't want to. I didn't hear great things about the 7. I was like, I knew the 8 was going to be
the 7's great.
Something a little more special.
Yeah.
And I wanted to wait. I'm still a little bummed about the audio port.
Are you still holding out for the audio port? That was last year's debate.
I like it still, you know. And anyway, so no,
Mr.
Actually,
Wireless here, wireless headphones.
I know,
you know?
but you know, it's something just
or the
dependable about that, and I'm not happy with many of my my wireless headphones.
The AirPods are pretty amazing.
I'm gonna try them. I've got some really good ones that I've had for a while now, but they still fall out when I exercise.
No, check out the AirPods.
Yeah,
you don't have to really worry about that, and it's one of those things that are just really well done. I thought I bought them in January, and I've used them every single day since. And this is one of those pieces of tech that now I just, you know, it's always with me. You know, it's always either in my car or in my pocket.
I have been skeptical. I might eventually invest in a pair.
I was skeptical too. I bought it just to review it.
I know, and you love them. I know.
I ended up loving them.
You know, even though I've given you a great deal of grief for looking like Uhura,
this is true.
Somebody at the gym came up to me yesterday and said, "I just bought these AirPods and they're amazing." I guess he knows I'm an Apple guy, and I mean he was talking about being able to, you know, just tap them and stop and whatever, and clearly with wireless charging being one of the selling points for the new phone and this AirPad. Is it AirPad that they called it? The charging pad that will charge your phone, your watch, your Series 3 watch, and the AirPods. Clearly, you know, Apple is really pushing wireless.
Yeah. They want all the cables disconnected from the phone, and they want people to be able to use wireless. I do want to say something about the charging that I didn't mentioned before, and that is that the phone using the Qi specification will charge at the same pace as if it were wired, if it was plugged in to a lightning charger. So,
well, that depends on the output as well.
Well, it's 15 watts right now, and they're actually looking to increase that. That was an increase from the last specification upgrade from 5 watts.
Right.
So 15 should be able to charge at the same pace as a wired device.
And if anybody wants to get a head start on the Qi wireless technology, Amazon sells adapters for existing phones for both Android, iPhone, anything with the USB.
Something that clips on? Clips onto the phone?
It's just it's a thin little. It's like
a case,
paper.
like a thin case.
No, it's not. It's not a case at all. It's just a little connection that you plug in with a flat back, so it can fit within a case.
Okay.
You know, and then they sell the adapters or the chargers.
How does it adhere to the phone?
Oh, it can loosely just kind
of. So you actually want to put it in a case to keep it in place.
Or I keep a couple of them in my car because I have a charger in my car, and if a friend comes in, they just plug in the adapter and then they place it on the charging mat in my car.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's available out there if anybody's curious, they want to try it.
The technology is not super sophisticated. I mean, it's the coils that it used to create the magnetic field are thin as paper, so it doesn't take up a lot of space.
Gotcha.
Well, I mean, Apple's been doing this with the Apple Watch now for almost three years?
Yeah.
2.5, 3 years?
It's been a bit, yeah.
It's interesting that let's see, I lost my train of thought. Oh, the iPhone, back to the iPhone 8 for 1 second. Anything there that surprised? I mean, it really is sort of a natural progression of the iPhone 7.
Let me see. The A11 looks great. And
the chip look, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
the chipset looks great. The fact that 6 cores, and 25 and 75% respectively faster
boost,
than previous, which this thing's not slow. Yeah. The iPhone 7 is not slow at all. Slow.
In fact, it's still winning speed tests with most of its Android rivals, if not all of them.
Right.
I was a little surprised that there's not a 512 gigabyte storage option.
Me too.
I know you were kind of jonesing for that, and I mean we're at 64 and 256. All right, so they did bump up the bottom end. It's from 32 to 64. Good. That seems to be a minimal.
I would have
amount
easily paid for a 5.
And it's so readily available out there. It's just everybody has it. I mean, I've got a thumb drive on it. I'm like, you have to wonder why, but they seem to go at their own pace, and for some reason they don't think they're ready yet for that. They weren't ready for wireless charging in the last 2 iterations of the phone, which I thought
we're ready for it.
We're ready for it. We're going to come out.
Bringing it right back real quick to Face ID.
Yeah,
I want that tech on the Mac. I want to be able to sit down.
Any reason to believe that it won't eventually drift down to the iPads and to high-end iMacs?
That's it. I want to be able to sit down at my desk and then automatically just log in.
Just sit there and
just from my
face. As long as your eyes are open.
Just as long as my expression.
If you're not sleeping, you can do it. It's a good way to make sure that workers are working when they're in the office, right? If your eyes close, your computer would send out an alarm.
Wow.
Yeah, this could happen. Last question before we move on from the iPhones, and this goes back to wireless and furniture. One of the things that you've written about in the past is the ability to embed these chargers into pieces of furniture. Yeah. There's been, some of them have been embedded in like coffee tables or end tables. And Lucas and I were talking earlier, I can easily see this being something in the office of the future, the future being 5 or 10 or 20 years down the road. But where wireless charging, if you're not being charged up when you walk in the room, if there's just a pad that's built into the furniture, any idea how long it would take before, that kind of furniture is a reality?
Well, IKEA came out with a line 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, of furniture, and they're selling it now. And in fact, they shipped some to me to test, and it's really fantastic. I mean, they have lamps, they have side tables, they have desks that have it in it. They even have a DIY kit where you just cut a hole in the furniture and you plop the puck in there, and you're able to.
And you're ready to charge.
Yeah, you're ready to charge it. So you can create your own furniture that way as well. I think this is going to help drive it.
It does feel like, obviously Apple has a huge installed base, and so they've put their finger on the scale when it comes to which charging option or which specification they like.
Absolutely.
It's the Qi, and I'm sure I haven't checked the stock price for the company, but I would have a feeling it might be
through the roof,
doing a little better today than it has in the past.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our roundup of the iPhone X, the iPhone 8. Of course, the iPhone X we won't get for 2 months. Real quick, I wanted to talk about I am the Series 3 Apple Watch.
I was just about to mention that.
And I really wanted to ask you, because you're Mr. Apple Watch. You got the first one, you got the second one. You've probably had 3 or 4 in between. I don't know. I'm still plugging away with my first Apple Watch from ancient times. The Apple Watch 3 Series 3 has LTE built in. You'd be able to make and answer and make phone calls directly from the watch. You'll have access to iTunes library, 40 million songs on your wrist, I think they said. Right. And yet you weren't immediately saying you were ready to rush out and buy one. Not sure?
It's nice to have. You know what it is? When I use the Apple Watch as basically a filter. You know, so any alert that isn't important stays on my phone, but any alert that are important, they comes to my wrist. Now, this new watch allows me to keep my phone away. Right. I can just, with my AirPods, have my watch and the AirPods, and now, like you said, access.
Is
to
there
music.
any physical limit in terms? I mean, you can leave your phone at home and you're good with the watch all day long when you drive to work an hour away. It doesn't matter because it's the same phone number. It's associated with the phone.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So it is a phone replacement if you want it to be.
Yeah.
And that's for a lot of people, who don't need full computers in your pocket. That's a great alternative.
You can have it on your wrist.
That's exactly.
Forgive my ignorance, but
a full computer in your pocket. Apologies.
Is this going to impact the data plan at all if you don't have unlimited?
That is a good question.
Yeah, they did not talk about how the carriers would be handling that. I would be willing to bet that it might cost you just a tad bit more.
Okay.
And more than that, I want to see how it affects battery life.
Well, I want to see how, now, interestingly enough, I'm still on AT&T's Ancient Unlimited plan, which I signed up for in 2007, and I will hang on to
don't let go
for the rest of my life. So maybe, it wouldn't affect me, maybe.
No, don't let go of that.
No, I'm not going to. So still iffy on the watch. I bet you buy.
Yeah, I'm probably going to buy just because I do run a lot. I do run with my phone, without my phone, rather.
Right.
And it'd be nice to not be away from important alerts or from important phone calls.
Or if you leave your phone at home, you get halfway to work and realize, at least you're still going to get your alerts and you can still do, the basic things you need to do to communicate with people.
Exactly.
From your wrist.
So if anybody who thinks the iPhone is too much, the watch and AirPods combo is now a good, fallback or a good secondary
for going
plan.
totally wireless and mobile.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then finally, last thing we have to talk about, because I've been waiting for this for a long time.
Apple TV.
I think Lucas heard me yell across the newsroom when that was announced. Not that it was a surprise.
Weren't you jumping up and down? No, we have clips.
Yeah, we don't have
Ken
clips of
jumping
that.
up and down.
God,
Roll
I
clip.
hope not.
Can we get
please
a
not.
No, he did yell 4K though.
Apple TV, I did 4K because I have a 4K TV, and I have not understood why Apple has, once again, waited this long to roll out the Apple TV 4K. But I don't think I'm going to get it at 3 in the morning or when ordering begins on Friday for that. The phone I would if I could, but I have to wait. But I will be getting the 4K TV, and I do think that that's going to change. It's interesting that Apple is going to convert its HD movies to 4K if you've already bought HD movies.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic because I use iTunes for my purchases, and the fact that my pre-existing purchases, the things I've already bought, are going to be upgraded to 4K is awesome. No, and the price is the same too. So any future purchases from here on in.
I mean the movie prices.
The movie prices, right? So you buy for the 4K video for the same price you would an HD video.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. And anything you've already purchased, it's it can be upgraded to 4K automatically. That's awesome. That's great. I didn't see that one coming.
And yet neither one of you has a 4K TV.
No, but this is
so we're going
future-proofing.
shopping sometime soon, right?
Eventually,
Okay.
but this is
you got 4K but not OLED.
I'm gonna have I have 4K. I'm gonna have
Okay.
OLED. Yeah.
Well, we'll go
I'm
shopping.
Waiting for,
You were over this week. You saw the TV. The TV I have
OLED,
is,
OLED. 4K.
But yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? I have a Samsung, TV.
Okay, and we've drifted off into TV land.
But this is great. This is Apple made some great decisions today when it came to when it comes to the Apple TV. The 4K, the HDR looks amazing. The fact that the movie prices stay the same and that anything you've already purchased is upgraded to 4K. That's great. That's fantastic.
What some people may not know is, movie companies, gaming companies, they've been shooting this stuff in 4K for a decade.
Yeah,
The content's out there. There just hasn't been a market there for streaming it, for using it.
And
now
once again, this is Apple putting its finger on the thumb, and it's going to push down prices for 4K movies from other providers. Because of course, Netflix has a lot in 4K now. That's either Dolby Vision or HDR10. I'm not sure which.
Yeah. There's plenty of content.
But by having Apple out there, sort of keeping prices the same.
Yep.
That's going to push down the prices for 4K movies and other providers. Okay. All right. So we've covered the iPhone X/10. We've covered the iPhone 8. We've covered the Apple Watch Series 3.
That was weird, though. One thing is,
I was going to say. So last thoughts before we go.
Naming the iPhone 8. So you have the iPhone 8, the iPhone 8 Plus, and then the iPhone 10.
10, right?
Well,
X.
No, it's 10. It's.
We don't know what it is. Did he say 10?
He did say, he said 10.
Yeah, but people are going to look at that and say iPhone X.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But it's interesting how they're going to handle that marketing.
Yeah.
Because next year's iPhone 9. People will still be like,
and the iPhone 11.
Do you know what I mean?
Or maybe they do iPhone 9 and iPhone 10s.
It's just weird, you know, from a marketing perspective, because it's all pretty much the same line. I mean, well, more or less the same, you know, hardware, except for obviously the
except for the screen and the
and
Face
all the
ID,
major, you know, the major things.
Well,
you know.
I'm wondering if this is the new jumping off point, because they've never done this before.
Right.
They've never had 3 models.
But it's I mean, I think Gruber said it, or somebody said it. It makes sense. iPhone 8, iPhone 8 Plus, and then iPhone Edition, or something like that.
Or iPhone Pro.
That kind of keeps it on the same.
Right.
I don't device
level.
version. It's something that doesn't imply that the iPhone 8 is 2 versions.
Well, there's
away
potential. Yeah, well, exactly. There's potential for market confusion in terms. I mean, we're not going to be confused by it, but people looking to buy their first iPhone or to upgrade for the first time in 3 years might not know that, you know, there's what the difference is between the 8 and the 10 and how they relate to the 7.
It's just a trial balloon to see if the market's ready for a $1,000 phone.
I think the market's.
the
I can
market.
assure you,
I think it is.
the market is ready.
Well,
market is ready.
Wait a second. I don't know that.
Well, this market's ready. Maybe I'm not typical of the market.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
But no, I know they're out there.
Just from
already.
a marketing perspective, it's interesting to say the decisions.
Any last thoughts? That was your last thought.
This was a pretty solid event.
Yep.
You know, a lot of the information was leaked, but this was pretty solid all around, I think.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the improvements in the wireless charging finally, and that you know, you have resonance, so you don't have to worry about placing it exactly on the charger. That was a big deal for me, at least. You know, otherwise, why not just plug it in? So. Yeah. You know, I like that they went with Qi as well, and I think the other standards are excellent as well. But I guess I was hoping that they might do something un-Apple-like and go for, you know, area charging. But maybe someday.
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
For the iPhone 11, 9, or whatever it's going to be called.
Yeah.
Right. I certainly think I've said enough for now. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Lucas. Thanks for being here. For now, that's a wrap.